Okay, so first we'll actually take a look at this 5-out motion offense. Now, what we want to enforce here in this motion offense is to never stand still, right? We're talking to our youth teams about never standing in one particular spot. We always want to get moving, right? We're also going to be looking at a lot of passing cuts here, a lot of down screens. We just want the athletes to get moving and fill a particular spot. So obviously, with the 5-out, we want to fill 5 spots on the basketball floor, and we want to keep things very spacious for the players, right? Especially if we're talking about youth basketball teams. So we want to try to get everybody outside the 3-point line in their own spot. Now, right here we have the numbers 4, 3, 1, 2, 5. The numbers don't really matter too much, right? That's the whole point of this 5-out offense, is that we want to enforce positionless basketball. So, step one with the 5-out motion offense, we need to get some sort of movement, right? What can we get going? So, there's a few options. One, we can do some sort of cut, or two, we can get a down screen going. So, what I like to do with my teams, I like to give my teams the freedom to choose. As long as you do something, either one of those movements, that's fine, right? So obviously, let's start with our cutting situation first. So we can look at getting a little V cut going inside the key and out to get open. That's an easy solution. We can also, look to cut to the basket, right? And if we don't receive that pass, we're going to continue cutting and fill a different spot. That's another option that we can do as well. Those are two kind of easy cuts that we can do to get open. Additionally, we can look at screening, like I mentioned, right? So we can go down screen for somebody else to come up and get open, right? So these two players, number 3 and number 2, the players that are closest to the basketball, you need to get some sort of movement going, whether that's a cut or a screen, we need to move. Okay, so for the sake of this, let's say we get some sort of cut, maybe a little V cut into the key and out to get open, right? Number 3 is doing the same thing. Okay, so let's say number 1, to keep it on the right side of the floor, gets number 2 open. Okay, so the ball goes to number 2. Well, now it's on number 1. Number 1 just got rid of the basketball. Now it's on them to initiate some sort of movement. So what we want to enforce is a cut to the basket or a screen away. Same type of thing, screen or cut. Now, number 1 option that we want to look for, though, is a cut. So let's talk about that one first. So number 1 is going to cut and look for the basket. What we like to enforce with our youth players is to get a foot on the key, right? At least 1 foot on the key so we can cut to the basket. We're going to continue cutting, right? If we can get the ball into number 1 for a little give and go, that would be great. A little pass and cut, feed it off to number 1. But for the sake of a motion offense, let's say that doesn't happen, right? So number 1 is going to cut and look for the basketball. They didn't get the basketball, so they're going to fill the far side. That means everybody then has to move up a spot, right? We move up a spot. Now the ball, number 3, is going to reset the basketball. And now we're in the exact same situation. We need to get a pass or a cut. So let's say right now we're in that new situation. Maybe this time we're going to screen. So in this situation, we're going to get number 4 and number 2 to go down screen, for the players closest to the baseline. And those players are going to come up and receive the basketball. So now we're in that 5-out again, but everybody has just moved positions. We won't get these players so high. Right now, what we always try to enforce is, as well as swing the basketball to the other side of the floor. So let's get the ball on the other side of the floor. But now the same situation happens. We need to cut to look for that basketball. So everybody is going to fill a spot. Right, everybody's going to fill a spot. Now we're reset again. All right, let's get the ball up top. We're back into our 5-out. So what we really want to look for here is, we never want to stand still in one particular spot, especially once we get rid of the basketball, right? When we pass the basketball to somebody else, we need to get the ball out of our hands, right? That's what we are enforcing here with our players, is never keep the basketball in your hands, right? So let's kind of run through this now a little bit quicker. All right, we need to make sure we're not standing still. So we need a V cut, we need something, a cut to the basket, we need something to get the ball. Right, so let's say we get a little quick cut right here. Number 2 is doing the same thing and move the ball to one side of the floor. Number 5 is looking for that pass. If they don't get it, everybody's filling up a spot, right? What we want to do right here then is now swing the basketball, right? So if we can find a way to get, maybe number 3 is open, we can just swing it on to them. But if not, we need to find a way to get somebody else open. Again, we either V cut or we down screen. Let's say in this situation, we down screen, right? We down screen, and we swing that basketball. Right now, same thing. We're going to cut to the ball. We're going to look for it. And let's say maybe in this situation, we get the basketball, right? And we get that pass on the cut and we get a wide open layup. Right. So, what I'll do with you teams here is we will run this continuously without scoring the basketball. So, say I have a team of 10 players, I'll put 5 players on one half of the floor, 5 players on the other half of the floor, and they will continuously be running this 5-out motion offense. Right. Then maybe say after about 2 minutes, I will blow the whistle. And when I blow the whistle, that basically means that when we cut off of that pass, we will then pass the ball back to the cutter, and the cutter can then finish for a layup, right? So we don't want to always, give it back to the cutter when we do this. When we run this 5-out offense in practice without a defense there, we want to get these athletes moving and working on the continuous movement of a 5-out. Again, every now and then we'll blow the whistle. What the whistle means is that you can now score off of that pass. You can give the ball back to the cutter, and then, like I said, we can score the basketball. So, is this a particular play that's going to result in, an easy basket, a quick basket? No. What this is 4 players, to learn the spacing of the basketball, how to space on the floor, how to fill a position, right? Because we want to fill one of those 5 spots. But it's also talking about, and it's also enforcing continuous movement, right? We never want to stand still. And when we're talking about youth basketball teams, that's a huge habit that they have, is standing still on the floor, not knowing when or how to move. So this simple, basic 5-out offense, will achieve all of those things and start teaching your athletes the basic things that they need to learn how to play in an offensive system.
All right. So when we look at 5-out motion offenses, and really look at, a team known globally that does that the best, I think everyone can agree that, across the board, the team that does this the best is the Golden State Warriors. They play a very free-flowing offense, very continuous style offense, very 5-out style motion offense. So recently, Coach Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors went on to ESPN and really gave a rundown on his Coach's Corner segment of the 5-out offense that the Golden State Warriors play. And basically, what we're going to do here is we're going to give a little rundown of it, and really draw it up in the diagram so that coaches can teach this to their teams as well, because it's really not a complicated style of offense. It's a very easy motion offense to follow. It's actually so simplistic that you might actually think to yourself, wait, is this all they really do? And it is. And this play for Steve Kerr is named 5-out, and we're going to take a look at it. Now, obviously, with NBA level team, professional level team, they're not running the same play up and down the court every single time. But when they run their 5-out, this is what they tend to do. Okay. So if we look at it initially, it kind of looks like they're set up in a bit of a 4-out, 1 in. Okay. But that's not actually the case. They kind of just start with their, post player, if they have one, on the elbow, before they kind of come outside the 3-point line. Okay. So what they'll typically do is they want the ball to be in the hands of number 5. So for them, their 5 player is, typically Draymond Green. This year, you've seen it being Al Horford a little bit. You've seen it being Looney in the past. So somebody who can dribble the basketball. So maybe that's a post up where you want to feed the ball into number 5. Or if you have a big that can dribble, you can just pass it out here to number 5 anyway. Okay. So that's the first step to their 5-out, is getting the ball over to their big man, their 5 player, again, which is usually Draymond, Al Horford, used to be Looney, right? We know what that looks like. Okay. So the next thing that we want to have is we want to get the ball to the same side corner. Okay. So that's number 3. We want to get the ball to the corner. Okay. And again, you're probably looking at this like, what is going on? Just keep taking a look at it. This is how it works. Okay. So they want to get the ball to the corner. So typically, they'll have number 3 kind of post up down here a little bit, do what they can do to just get the ball in that corner. Okay. So we want to feed the ball from number 5. Again, whether it's, they're being on the elbow here and they just want to kick it out that way, or if they want to, be up here about the 3-point line, swing the basketball, or even run a dribble handoff, whatever it is, we want to get the ball over here to number 3. Okay. In the corner. Now, the next part of this, okay, is where the 5 out motion offense comes in. And this right here, this number 1 player is typically Steph Curry, okay? Now, what they'll have Steph Curry then do is kind of float into the key a little bit. Okay, now as that's happening, he's actually going to pop out. We're going to have number 5 here, which is usually Draymond or somebody like that, set a screen for Steph Curry. Okay, and then Steph Curry excuse me, burst off that screen, curls to the 3-point line here. And immediately after that, this Draymond, number 5, or Al Horford, whatever it is, immediately rolls to the basket. So that is how they start their 5 out motion offense. Whether they kick it right here to Steph Curry, they kick it to the cutter, whatever that may be, they're then into their motion offense, right? They're going to get one of these passes. So typically they'll get it out here to Steph Curry. Steph Curry might find the open man here, but if not, then they're just into their continuous movement, right? Their continuous movement where now they're set up in an exact 5 out motion offense. And then they really just play a read and react style of drive and cut, drive and cut. So we're playing our typical 5 out, right? If we can get here, great. Maybe we can dish it off to somebody in the dunker, right? For a layup or something like that. Your typical kind of 5 out style. But the way they start things is what is so unique for them. The way they start things is so different, right? And let's take a look at it again. And excuse me if we put different numbers into different positions here, but we'll have our point guard here, right? We'll have this player here. We'll have our 5 right here, like we talked about. Right. And this is how they get into that style of 5 out, right? So they want to get the ball over here to their center first. Again, if you have a center on your team or you're playing small, you can just feed them the ball up here. That's great. We're going to have number 3 kind of seal their defender a little bit, do a little post up, right? Butt to the basket here, right? We're going to feed them the basketball, right? As that's happening, number 1 is kind of cutting in the key. Number 5 is coming in with them a little bit, right? Then we're going to have that screen being set. Number 1's going to burst off. Number 5's going to roll, right? And again, when Steve Kerr detailed this, they always get one of these options, right? They always end up getting one of these options. That's how they get into their 5 out. So again, you got a good 3-point shooter, kick it out here to that 3-point shooter, right? And then if you got, somebody wide open cutting the basket, feed them on the way. But then you're just into your 5 out, right? If you get a collapse right here in a double team, right, you're going to be able to kick it out to one of these shooters back here. And that's exactly what the Golden State Warriors do. It's like, yes, they start this way, right? But for them, it's all read and react. So they start a little different, right? Very different from your conventional 5 out motion offense, but it works for them. And you mix that with their read and react and continuous movement style that they implement. And they always have, multiple options here. And it's a very free flowing offense. So, this is something different. This is something new that, I'm definitely looking forward to implementing with my teams now. Is trying a different way to start this motion offense and, get into our read and react style of basketball. Hold on one quick second, coaches. Before you go anywhere, I've got a couple free resources waiting for you from the Basketball Coaches Academy that'll take your practices and take your teams to the next level. First off, grab your complete guide to the continuous motion offense, which breaks down exactly how to teach your players to play the game, not just run plays. You'll learn what continuous motion offense really means, proven drills to build it, and how to run a motion offense continuously. We have lots of different things in this guide. We have video demonstrations, we have diagrams, we have descriptions, everything that you would need. If you want your athletes to develop real basketball IQ, this is the starting point. The second item that I have for you is the 5 must-have out-of-bounds plays for all ages. These are game-tested sets that you can run with youth or high school teams. We have baseline out of bounds. We have sideline out of bounds, all free for you. They're simple to teach, tough to guard, and each play includes clear diagrams and coaching points so your team stops wasting possessions. And lastly, I have the practice plan template. This printable practice plan template is the exact layout that I use to organize and plan every practice session. So you can plug in your warm-ups, skill blocks, team drills, and scrimmage notes so you can walk into every gym with a clear plan and zero guesswork. So I have these 3 free items for you. You can claim them using the link in the description. They'll be sent to you right away. Enjoy. All right, so I wanted to take a little bit of time here to talk about the Miami Heat wheel offense that Coach Eric Spoelstra has been running with the Miami Heat. And, it's been used quite recently, actually, with other teams in the NBA as well. And they've seen a lot of success with that, particularly Memphis Grizzlies. last season in the 2024-2025 season, but it's really become popular this past year with the Miami Heat. And Eric Spoelstra is really running this offense and playing, consistently good basketball, a really motion style of basketball, read and react offense with a team with no stars. And when you're doing this with a team that has no stars, it's usually a good sign that the offense works. It's not just the team playing well, but it's the offense that is working. And it's gained a lot of attention within the media and American media, particularly recently with LeBron James and Steve Nash discussing the offense, and how interesting it is and how it seems to be working for the Miami Heat. So let's take a look at what exactly the Miami Heat are running on the offensive end and how this wheel style of offense, not your traditional wheel offense, but this wheel style of offense does work. Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about is what the Miami Heat do. What are the principles of this offense? There's two main principles. Okay, number one is we're going to play fast. Okay, and number two is we want to attack the paint. Okay, there's a little to no screens involved in the Miami Heat offense. It's just continuous movement, it's just continuous cutting, and it's playing fast. So they want to attack the paint, but it's not just attacking the paint on the ball, it's also cutting. Okay, those are the two key principles. Now, in terms of our 5 out, right, we want to play with pace and space. Obviously, that's what the Miami Heat do. But a big key is that what they will do is drive on one side of the floor and everybody else is cutting toward that same side of the floor. Okay, so they're not running your traditional 5 out where, maybe you're cutting off the ball and, moving to the other side of the floor. They're moving with the basketball. So if we had the ball here in our point guard's hands and our point guard drives into the key right here, right, with the elbows open, you're going to see everybody else actually rotate in that same direction. Right, so we would have number 2 cut this way as well, right? And everybody else would follow. Number 3 would go to that same side. Number 5 would move up here as well. Number 4 would move up, and then number 2 is going to continue cutting, right? So that, style of offense right here, that's kind of what they're consistently doing is everybody's moving toward that same side, right? Then say, they needed to kick it out, they could kick it out. They could kick it out. They could kick it out, right? They kicked it out here to that same side. Everybody's just going to continue flowing, right? One thing you'll see happen a lot is if the ball is up top right here, right, and we see a drive, right, you will see everybody cut that same way again. So let's say we have a drive right here, right? You're going to see everybody cut that way. Number 1 will cut to the basket and look for the basketball. Number 2 will fill a spot. Number 4 will move as well. Number 3 will move. And then number 1, again, continuously moving. One interesting thing that you'll see here is that, typically in the event that, we were to get a drive in the paint, let's kind of reset everybody out of here right now. Let's say 1 is up top, 2 is over here, right? Number 3 is over here, number 4, and number 5. Okay. So say typically, if we were to get, a drive to the paint right here, you're going to have the defender for number 4, the defender for number 5, potentially cheat off of their player a little bit to try to fill that gap, right? You're probably going to see that. Because this offense includes such a wheel, right, you can't really have anybody cheat off their player to fill the gap, right? Because what's going to happen here is, again, number 4 is going to cut, number 3 is going to cut, number 5 is going to cut, right? So if number 4's defender right here, right, was to kind of focus on filling that gap, they really can't because they need to then follow their player over as they're cutting. Same thing with number 5, right? If number 4 was back here, number 5 was over here, right, and you wanted to have a defender kind of move in to fill the gap a little bit on a help, you can't really do that anymore because number 5 is now cutting up top and, they're going to be a threat potentially for a 3-point shot. Right. So again, it's that wheel style of basketball. It's a very interesting style of basketball. It's a wheel, but everybody is consistently moving. All right, I want to show you guys now a little clip here from the Mind the Game show with LeBron and Steve Nash and kind of show you what they were breaking down here. And I highly recommend everybody check this video out because it does another great breakdown of this offense that I'm talking about right now. But, basically what we're going to look at is the Memphis Grizzlies moving this play. Okay, so let's, turn the volume down so we can kind of talk through it. But yeah, this will be the Memphis Grizzlies running this play in action. Okay. So what we will see here is John Morant, right? He's driving to the paint right now on the left side of the floor. So Sacramento Kings here, they're really focused on filling that gap, right? But as we can see, everybody on Memphis, these three players, they're moving toward the side of the ball. So John Morant is driving left. Everybody else is cutting toward that same side. They're following him, right? So if we watch it, everybody's going to cut in this direction, the direction that John Morant is driving in. So we're going to see right now that as everybody continues to slot down in the direction that John Morant is driving, he actually gets a wide open pass just there to dish it off to somebody under the rim. So it's everybody's kind of moving in that wheel, everybody's kind of moving in sync. And that's really how, they're getting these open points time and time again. So that's really what we're looking at with this wheel style offense that the Miami Heat have brought to the table this year and the Memphis Grizzlies really started doing last year. And that's everybody's cutting toward the same side as the basketball rather than cutting away from the ball like your traditional 5-out where you'll cut to the key but then you'll cut away, right? In this situation, everybody's cutting toward where the basketball is going. Everybody's following the basketball with their cuts. And that way you kind of get into your motion offense. Now, for this offense to work, you're going to need 5 players out there that can really play all positions. It is one of those positionless 5-out offenses. This is not something you can do if you have a big that can't shoot, right? We see the Miami Heat run this play, and they have Bam Adebayo shooting the 3 consistently, right? And his 3-point attempts have gone up significantly. I actually believe they may have doubled since they've started running this play. So it's or maybe not a play, but the system of offense, right? So you really do need to be a positionless team. Now, another few things that the Miami Heat do this year that's really working for them is they're getting out and running and attacking the paint, right? Even if that means that they're not really getting a high percentage shot, it doesn't matter because somebody's just continuously cutting, right? So one thing that's good about them is they have multiple threats to attack the paint, right? You look at Norman Powell, you look at Davion Mitchell, right? You look at Bam Adebayo, you look at Andrew Wiggins. These guys are getting out and running in transition and attacking the paint. And so much focus is going in to try to stop those people at the rim, whether they're throwing 2 or 3 bodies down there in transition to try to stop the ball, right? Then somebody else just kind of cuts and follows, cuts quickly, cuts hard. They're getting multiple opportunities for just easy layups, easy, quick layups, as well as our 3-point shots, like we talked about from Bam Adebayo. But, it starts with them playing fast and attacking the paint from the jump. But let me know what you guys think about this offense. Is it a good offense? Is it a good direction to kind of play a screenless offense in terms of a 5-out? Is this, something different that can kind of spice up the game a little bit? And, would you try this offense? Personally, I would. I would like to try this offense with some of my teams and see how things work. Because I like to play that style as well as just read and react, get down the court as quick as we can. But let me know what you guys think. Is this a good direction for the game? And, would you teach this to your team or teach it to your team? Let me know how it goes.